My son was having a hard time being accepted by his peers in school. The children didn't understand why he talked so loud, spoke formally, and acted like he would rather be alone than in a group. In 4th grade, he was becoming more aware that his classmates viewed him differently. There was more teasing, name-calling, and problems on the playground, and he was becoming more isolated. It started to take a toll on his self-confidence. We learned about the kids' need-to-know presentation and really liked the easy-to-follow format and the way it involved the audience. Like most parents, we want our son to live a positive, happy, and healthy life and are willing to try new things when he struggles.
Hi, I'm Ruth Bilibaki. My son was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in 2nd grade. Peers did not understand or accept him from 2nd to 5th grade. In 6th grade, he switched schools, and in the fall of that year, I had attended a field trip, and I really felt that the kids were really a great group. And by November, he was still having problems again, and I was really surprised. I told him, maybe we should tell them that you have Asperger's syndrome so they would understand why you are different. He wasn't very thrilled with the idea, so I dropped it. And then a month later, he came back to me and said, "Mom, I want to do it. How soon can we get this done?" Over Christmas break, I put the PowerPoint presentation together and then showed the principal and the teacher at school. I was surprised at how much they really liked it, and they were very, very supportive. I will admit, the day that we were there to do the presentation, I was very nervous, thinking, what if this is a bad idea? What if this backfires? But it turned out to be a great experience. The kids were very attentive during the presentation, and they were also very positive afterward. The teacher said that following my visit, there was an immediate difference with the kids in the classroom. Even my son felt it, and he said the kids were nicer to him than they had been before. I was so relieved. So then the school asked me to come back and show the entire school staff the presentation. Again, I was very, very surprised. After the success that I experienced with this presentation, I decided it was a tool that could really help others as well. So I partnered with Barbara to develop a parent guide, the script, and documenting the research to support the effectiveness of this approach. We created the parent guide to help parents with the process of customizing the presentation for their own child. By the way, I know Barbara Luborski because she is the pediatric occupational therapist that first diagnosed my son's problems in 2nd grade. She has worked with children on the autism spectrum for the past 20 years, and then she sent me to a psychologist to do the rest for him. So to give parents exactly what this presentation is like, the next section that you're going to see is part of the presentation. It includes the first 5 slides of the presentation with the narration and the script that goes with them. Thanks so much for listening. This is the slide that you'll want to have up and ready when you begin your introduction. Now I'm going to begin reading the script that you would actually be reading to the class. I'm here today to talk to you about John. After being in school with him for some time now, you've probably noticed that he's a little different. Even though John is a great guy, some things are confusing about him, and there's a reason why. I'd like to tell you about it so you can better understand John, and I'm going to explain this today. Take a look at this picture. How are these kids alike? And this is when you're going to lead a class discussion about how these kids are similar.
They're both smiling, they're both leaning forward, they're the same age, and they both seem pretty happy and interested in their conversation. Now you're going to ask the children, how are these kids different? And some of the answers would be that one's a boy and one's a girl, the hair colors are different, the clothes, and one person is in a wheelchair. Now, if you were with the girl in the wheelchair and you both were coming up to this door, what would you do? You would open it up for her, right? Of course you would. Let's take a look at this group of kids. Now, when we saw the picture of the guy and the girl in the wheelchair, the similarities and differences were easy to see. With these kids, the similarities and differences that you can see are obvious. What do you see? They all look about the same age. They all look pretty happy. Some are boys, some are girls. And so you can lead the class with more of these similarities and differences. And now we'll move on to the next paragraph. But some similarities and differences are subtle, which means they are harder to see in a picture. Let's imagine some together. See the boy in the center? He loves to watch football. And the girl on the left is a dancer. This picture shows someone who has a difference that none of us has guessed. One of these kids has Asperger's syndrome. Can you guess which one? I am going to tell you.
The Kids Need to Know presentation made a huge difference in our son's life. His classmates were very receptive to learning about Asperger's syndrome, and in particular about our son. They loved answering our questions and talking about their own struggles and successes throughout the presentation. After presenting to 2 fourth-grade classes, the kids were happy to include our son and treat him with kindness. Now, when he is at school, they say hi and make sure he says hi back. They cheerfully help him with his social skills and include him on playground games. He told us, the presentation must have worked because everyone is a lot nicer and they seem to understand me now. We will definitely continue to use the Kids Need to Know presentation at the beginning of each school year.
My name is Barbara Laborski, and I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. When Ruth told me about the PowerPoint that she and her son were planning, I was immediately interested in seeing it and learning more about it. Intuitively, it seemed like a great approach, but I wanted to see for myself how it would work out. I was able to be there to observe when Ruth made the presentation. It was amazing to see the reaction of the class. During the discussion time at the end, the kids were eager to come up with ways to help their classmate. Since then, we have found that research shows that this type of classroom presentation will increase the number of positive interactions between students with Asperger and their peers. Peers who learn about Asperger's syndrome can understand why their classmates seem so different or even odd. But understanding Asperger's syndrome is not enough. To be truly effective, the presentation has to help classmates learn specific ways to deal with difficult behaviors in the classroom. This is why we included an extensive section in the parent guide about planning and leading a class discussion at the end of the PowerPoint. Discussing how to handle the child's specific challenging behaviors and generating ideas for what to say and how to say it will empower the class to change their own behavior. This in turn will affect the behavior of the child with Asperger in the classroom. We hope this tool will really work to make life better for kids with Asperger's syndrome, as well as their teachers and classmates.